my sweet friends, welcome back to another What's for Dinner video. Here is a meal that you're going to see on this episode of What's for Dinner. This is pork chops, it is collard greens, potatoes, cornbread, tomato, onion, country cooking. That's what we had on one day. Another day we had a delicious beef Manhattan. You got to stay tuned for this one. And then I'm even going to show you this egg casserole that is one of my favorites as of lately. The flavor on this thing is great and it is easy and quick to put together. I'm going to give a review on these Tyson black pepper herb chicken breast strips, and I'm going to show you a way that we really enjoyed these. And lastly, we have a chili mac. I'm just going to give you a quick look at that. I've made that on my channel many times before, which I can link to below. I hope all of this looks delicious to you. We got some easy things. We have some crock pot things. Just showing you some food that we have had around here lately. So if it looks good to you, just hang right on. We're going to jump straight into the video. If there is any delicious comfort southern meal that we really love, it is fried pork chops. I grew up having them about once a week because they were definitely one of my dad's very favorites. I am just going to take some flour, that's what's in the bottom of my canister here. I'm going to use these seasonings that I showed you, and I'm just going to bread up my pork chops. I do not dip them in egg or anything like that. It's just the pork chops dipped in my seasonings and my flour. Make sure they're coated really well, and I'm going to fry them on the stove in some bacon grease. Yes, I keep the grease off my bacon and use that to fry. So let's just get into making these pork chops.
So I can hold you in my arm. I will carry you on my shoulders as long as I'm able. Scare the monsters under your bed. Deep and abiding, liking for you is all I need. Until my heart gives in, I will do everything I can for you. You will grow up in the blink of an eye and move out and be on your own. But no matter what comes your way, I will stay right here beside you to catch you if you fall. And deep and abiding, liking for you is all I need. Until my heart gives in, I will do everything I can for you.
These are some leftover potatoes that we had the night before. I'm actually just going to throw those into this pan here with a little bit of bacon grease and let those just get a good crisp on them, and they're going to be delicious the second time around as well.
Liking for you is all I need. Until my heart gives in, I will do everything I can for you.
Alright, and back here in this kettle I have some Margaret Holmes brand collard greens with a big slice of onion in there. Those are just cooking away. You can see here I'm checking my pork chops again. You want to get a good crust before you turn them over. Once you get a good crust on both sides, then you just kind of cook them very low and slow. Doesn't take too long. You don't want to overcook them for sure. And you can also use your meat thermometer. I think pork may be about 145, if I'm thinking right, for internal temperature. You don't want to overcook them and get them tough. And then now we have a pan of cornbread that's come out of the oven. This is my cornbread skillet that my mom gave me years ago. Nothing better than a good slice of cornbread with some butter on it to go along with dinner. My potatoes are done. You can see here they've gotten a good crisp. The collard greens have cooked down. And look at these delicious pork chops. Perfect. This whole meal was an absolute Southern delight. And here's how our plate ended up looking. The pork chops were very tender, moist, delicious. Cornbread with some butter. We love onion and tomato slice along with a meal like this. And then we have those potatoes and the collard greens. This was just exactly what we were wanting. This is a recipe called baked ham and cheese omelet. So I'm doubling it. It is a 9x9 recipe. Everything that you see here is doubled. So 16 eggs scrambled up, 2 cups of ham chopped, 2 cups of cheddar cheese. I have some white cheddar and some mozzarella because that's what I have. And that's supposed to be 2/3 cup of milk. But I had just a little extra, so I just went ahead and poured it in there. It's not gonna hurt anything. And this is actually half and half. That's what I had that I wanted to finish off, so there it is. The recipe does not call for anything other than salt and pepper. There's my oven. But the first time I made this, I used the onion salt and it gave it such a great flavor. I don't have a whole lot in this one this time, and I don't have any more, so I'm gonna use a little bit of garlic salt. That'll just be additional flavor. This recipe is so easy, and let me tell you, it is delicious. It is really, really good. So I'm gonna pull this together and I'll show it to you here in just a second. All right, how easy is this? I have a disposable pan because I'm taking these with me tomorrow for a meal, a shared meal. And so my pan is sprayed here, and then everything is just in this mixing bowl. So I'm gonna carefully pour it without splattering. Let's see here. Nice, everything goes in here. You whisk it around, mix, whisk, and pour it into your pan. I'm gonna get all that extra ham out of there. Oh my goodness, check that out. All right, let me get the rest of the ham out of here, and I'm gonna get it in the oven. All right, there it is. I sprinkled some black pepper on the top, and I'm getting this in the oven. I think for the 9x9, it bakes for about 25 minutes, so I'm just gonna keep an eye on this. And I've never doubled it before, so I'll see how long it takes. And I can put the full recipe down below with all the instructions. Okay, here it is out of the oven. It's got just a little more cooking to do right here in the center, but I will be heating this tomorrow for about 10 or 15 minutes before it's time to serve it. It may take a little bit longer than that, but it's not going to take long to heat this through. And so the rest of this will sit up in the morning. I baked it for about 40 minutes, and then I covered it and baked it about another 10 or so. And so yeah, it definitely takes a little longer to bake, but this is so delicious. I love this dark golden cheese, probably is really what that is. Yum, this is a great recipe. We have not had any sort of like a beef roast more type of deal and I don't know, since June, since we started this remodel. We have had steak on the grill, but I haven't done any like beef in my crock pot. So I could not dig down into my deep freeze this morning to get a beef roast, so I just grabbed what was on top, and this is a sirloin steak, and it's big. It fills my whole crock pot. I can't even lay down, it's so wide. I don't really know what I'm doing with this, honestly. I just know I want some beef, so I may end up serving it like pot roast style more so. I don't know. So instead of putting a lot of stuff with it, since I don't know what I'm doing with it, I just put on garlic salt and onion powder. I'm gonna pop the top on, and before this thing is done, I will figure out what we are having for dinner with this tonight. So stay tuned. We'll see how this ends up turning out for today's dinner. It is many hours later. Here's the sirloin steak. It looks darker in the camera than it is in real life, but it is falling apart tender. So I'm going to take it out, move it to a plate, get the fat off, and I think I'm just going to kind of break it up, maybe not shred it, but kind of chunk it that style. I'm kind of thinking I may do maybe a Manhattan. I don't know. This has been very like, let's just see what we end up with, right? Even up to now. I do have, hang on one second. Here are my Yukon Gold potatoes. That little spot in the center there is some pink Himalayan sea salt. I've got these on the stove here boiling up for some mashed potatoes. So let's just see how else this evolves. Aren't these looking good? I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of salt on. Alright, that's probably plenty. And I'm going to remove these, and I think I'm going to make a pan sauce with the drippings and the broth that came off of the beef. I did not add any water to it. It was frozen when it went in the crock pot. There's not a lot of broth, but I think I'm going to make a gravy with that. Okay, here are the drippings, or the sauce, broth I guess would be the better word, out of the bottom of the crock pot. And I'm just going to sprinkle in a little bit of flour. I've already added some salt and pepper, not a bunch of salt, but I did give some pepper in there pretty liberally. I'm going to whisk this together. Looking very, very good. I'm going to keep whisking this till I get these lumps out. I think I'm going to add just a little bit of cream, half and half, whatever I have in my fridge. Oh yeah, this is looking great. Alright, we have all the lumps out. Now I'm going to just pour in some heavy cream. Actually, it's half and half. Alright, let's whisk that in. Looking good. I'm just going to let this boil for just a little bit until it comes together. Now I would have probably put the mushrooms and the onions back in at this point, but our little grandson is here tonight and I don't think he is probably going to want the mushrooms and onions, so rather than picking those out, I'm just going to leave those separate. Alright, here is the pan creamy gravy, the mashed potatoes, oh my goodness, and yes, this is just all in the pan. Here's the meat. I'm going to plate up. Still not sure how I'm going to put it on my plate. Oh, and of course I have the mushrooms in it. Alright, here is my beautiful Manhattan. That's what I decided to go for. So it may not look that lovely, but it's going to taste delicious. So basically a Manhattan, if you don't know, it's like a sandwich. So your meat in the middle, bread of course on either side. You slice it in half, you put mashed potatoes in the middle, and then gravy on top. And then of course I topped mine with the mushrooms and the onions. So I am pretty positive this is going to be delicious. Okay, I thought I would do a review on these Tyson black pepper herb seasoned chicken breast. They are really, really good. I bought these a little while back and we've eaten them in a variety of ways. I cook them in my air fryer. Today I am making chicken wraps with these. So let me show you what I'm making. Okay, on my plate here I had one piece of bacon left from breakfast. And so I just crumbled that up inside these two wraps. I've got some lettuce and spinach blend from a salad mix that I made up earlier, actually last night for dinner. Some Colby Jack shredded cheese, and then I love open pit. I grew up having open pit, so it's not my husband's favorite. I think probably Sweet Baby Ray's is our all-time favorite, but sometimes I just want the taste of open pit, so I have that. Then here in the air fryer are a few little pieces of chicken that I just cooked up. You can see the seasoning on there. It's really, really good. If it'll focus. Just has a really nice flavor. And so yeah, I'm going to put these in my wrap, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Okay, here it is on my tortilla, and then I am just going to go ahead and sprinkle my cheese and a little bit of my barbecue on here. I'm going to put it back in my air fryer and let it just warm through, and then I'll put on the lettuce. Okay, I think that took about 30 seconds or so in my air fryer. Look at that cheese, all melted. My tortilla is hot, but it's soft. It didn't start getting crispy. If you left it on longer, you'd probably have some crunchy shell tacos. And I'll just put my lettuce on there. And look what a yummy lunch this is gonna be. I just thought I'd show you this. If you're interested in trying those Tyson black pepper herb chicken breast strips, they are really tasty. I thought I was finished, but I went back in with ranch. I piled a bunch of the spinach, lettuce, mixture, onion in there, and some ranch on top. That's the final look, you guys. I'm diving in for lunch. And this last clip is of a chili mac dinner that we had. It's one of the first recipes I ever showed on my channel. I'll have it linked below. I had some chili that I made for like chili dogs, coney dogs. I froze half of it. I was able to pull that back out to make chili mac and a salad on the side. Put some jalapenos on there, and this is delicious. And I told you I was going to give you a little sneak peek. My refrigerator was just delivered today. It is the black stainless steel. It's not coming off the right color on camera. And my new microwave, my new stove. Over here is my new dishwasher. We are moving slowly here. We weren't, but then we got slowed down with some sickness. But my fridge just came in today, you guys, so we're moving closer and closer. My backsplash will probably be the next thing to go up. My kitchen isn't necessarily ready to be filmed, so overlook anything that you see in the background, but I thought this view kind of showed the refrigerator a little bit better. This is what we had before, the freezer on the bottom, and that's kind of what I wanted. We had to have not a typical size, so it just took a lot of searching, and as most of you know, appliances are not the easiest thing to come by these days. But we finally found one in the black stainless that was the size we needed, which is a 33-inch wide. I really would have loved to have had an ice maker and water in the door, but I just could not find anything in the black stainless that was the right size that was available. And so even this one was maybe 6 weeks out before we got it. So we are very, very happy with it. I also did a lot of research on brands. I wanted to make sure and get a brand that we felt like was reputable, not going to cause us a million problems like so many of them we've heard about. And this one just really fit the bill. So we are glad to have it. I spent, of course, plenty of time getting everything moved over from our existing refrigerator. There's just a few things in there now, getting all the tape taken off and just getting everything situated, moving things over to the freezer, and I am loving it. It is bigger as far as capacity for storage than the one we had, and that makes me a happy camper as well. I hope all of you have enjoyed this video and in some way have found some inspiration or some new ideas on things that you can incorporate into your meal plan coming up. And if you have not seen my last two videos, I'm going to pop those up on the screen here. Those were for Fall Food Friday. I made a delicious bread pudding and a pumpkin lush. Be sure and check those out. If you haven't, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see y'all the next time.